only do things incredible can. Cause I am the seed of a chosen breed. You don't see too many like me. Cause I am one of the reasons you do what you do. When you wanna be me instead of you. Cause I am still on beat. Showing love to the streets. Come on, you know me. Cause that's who I am.
Everybody, want to thank you for tuning in and listening tonight. Like we said, we've got Salisbury at Burns. All the other counties are out. No Cherville, no Lincoln County. So on WLON tonight in Lincoln County, the folks are listening to Atlanta Braves baseball. I think the Diamondbacks tonight. Is that right, Rob? And then Charlotte Hornets tonight take on the Cavaliers. So you get a double dose of Ohio tonight from Cinefani on OHS. And the Cavaliers on CSL tonight. But we'll get started, folks, here on the show, pregame show here. And let me give you the schedule of who's playing tonight in the West, and then we'll start off talking about those games right now. How about in the 1A West, number 4 Murphy at number 1 Elkin. Number 7 Winston-Salem Prep at number 3 Mitchell. In the 1AA West, number 3, Pine Lake Prep. That's in one of our conferences. At number 2, East Surrey. That's a normal powerhouse there that Pine Lake Prep's going to have to deal with again this year. Polk County, number 8. It's a strange season, how they got where they're at. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. They're number 8 at number 4, North Rowan in the 1AA West. The North Carolina 2A West, the Shelby Golden Lions, number 4, go to number 1, Hendersonville. And number 3, Mount Pleasant, visits number 2, Mountain Heritage. In the 2AA, the Salisbury Hornets visit the Burns Bulldogs, number 7 versus number 6. Well, like I said, we'll have that on radio coverage. You can also listen to that, folks, if you go to kdcbroadcasting.com. Also, you can listen to it on our YouTube Red Zone channel. We don't got any other games to put on there, so that'll be the game. But when they do go to breaks, we'll try to take breaks ourselves and chime in and give you guys score updates from around the areas during that show. So stay tuned for the Red Zone show after this one, beginning at 7:30. They play the winner of Oak Grove at North Davidson. Oak Grove number 5 and number 1 North Davidson. What's weird looking at this bracket, guys, is seeing North Davidson and Salisbury in the West, knowing Shelby's beat them in state championships here in the last few years in East-West matchups. So the geography of the football playoffs is there's 8 different lines if people wanted to know. Did you have that, Shannon? 8 different lines. What? Oh, I don't know where that thing's at. I don't talk to people. The newfound. All right. Let's see. We've got the rest of it. Let's see. Monroe. Okay, here we are. In the 3A, Monroe, number 7 at Kings Mountain, number 3. Number 4, Catholic at number, I did that wrong, 1, AC Reynolds. I'll fix that in a minute. So last year, Kings Mountain had to beat Reynolds to go to Catholic. This year, Catholic will have to beat Reynolds to go to Kings Mountain. So keep that in mind tonight. Dudley, number 8 and number 5, Roberson in the 3AA. Weddington, number 2 at number 3 at number 2, Mount Tabor. And in the 4A, Hillside, number 5 at number 1, Grimsley, and number 6, Butler at I don't know what Providence was. I think 2 or 3. I'll fix that in a minute as well. And for folks who want to listen on the radio, wonder what I'm going to fix, you can watch the show on YouTube. We're live on YouTube every Friday night as well, YouTube and on the radio. On 4AA, number 4, Vance at number 1, Huff, and number 3, Panther Creek, and number 2, Myers Park. Guys can probably see those seeds on the boards in there, because I'm just looking at the screen in here. All right, guys, let's start off. We're going to cover the 4AA first, kind of go over what's going on in them, the quick matchups, and then we'll get to our first break. We're going to talk 1A, 2A, and 3A, and break down our local teams here in just a little bit as well. But let's start off. Who you guys got over in the 4AA West? Vance and Huff, Panther Creek, and Myers Park are left in the 4AA right now.
I think it's going to be a really, really good game.
Oh, Robbie, they played earlier in the season, regular season, and it turned out to be, as we used to say here, a slobber knocker. It was a very tough game, and surprisingly, if my memory serves me correctly, Huff won that game. Yeah. And that sort of set the tone for the playoffs. And so Huff is having to come behind a little bit with that loss. Shannon, your thoughts on that?
No, I agree with Robbie here when he said that could probably be the best game of the state. You know, it's a rematch. They played a couple weeks ago, and everybody was picking Vance to beat Huff, but Huff turned around and beat them. And a lot of talent's going to be on the field, a lot of Division I athletes, and this game here is going to be. I mean, it's going to be intense. There's going to be a lot of, I imagine, a lot of talking coming from everywhere. Sidelines, on the field, up in the stands. It's going to be. It's just going to be a good high school football game. That's for sure.
Might even be a little chatter in the parking lot.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
And but then Panther Creek and Myers Park. You know, again, those two teams, in my opinion, you know, you're regardless if you win or lose this week, you're going to lose next week.
I think so.
Yeah, that's just my opinion there because Vance and Huff's just too strong.
Well, speaking of 4A. Pinecrest and Wake Forest. That's not a local kind of matchup, but Wake Forest has had some dominance in that particular level, Robbie. What can you tell us about that game?
Here's what I find interesting when you look at the 4AA East with Pinecrest, and you mentioned that Wake Forest team. On the other side of that bracket, you got Hoggard taking on Roseville. Remember, about 4 or 5 years ago, Wake Forest Roseville was one school.
Right.
Yeah.
So now you've split that school in half, and they're both still playing. And, you know, a lot of times you see one school maybe drop a notch, but that just speaks to the level of talent in that area. So I think, again, you're going to see a great matchup here. I like that Wake Forest team. I think you're going to see a Wake Forest-Roseville matchup will be the 4AA East Championship. But I think Pinecrest-Wake Forest is going to be a great game, but I really like the other game on that side with that Hoggard Roseville game. But I think it's just interesting with those two schools having been split in half.
Yeah,
and they've
they're still where they are.
Yeah, continued that excellence. That is amazing to me.
I'm looking here at the Roseville at just the stats this year. They have 3 guys that are over 400 yards rushing.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you say that's 3 guys with 400-plus yards, almost 500 yards in, 8 ball games?
Seven. They'll play 7.
7 ball games. That's they're not going to put it in the air much. Now, they do have a quarterback. I think he's thrown for right under 700 yards. But, yeah, they've got some talent at Rolesville, that's for sure.
Well, Robbie, I'm going to do something I shouldn't. I'm going to skip around a little bit. We talked about Vance and Huff, and you said you thought that was the premier game of the state. I'm going to go with another matchup, but it's in 3A. I just want to mention, because you talked about schools being split and dropping down and changing. These are 2 teams that Crest and others are familiar with, and that's the Weddington-Mount Tabor game.
Yes.
You remember back in the heydays of 4A Crest, Mount Tabor was a hill you had to climb to get to the state championship.
It's interesting that you bring that game up. I was looking at these matchups in 3A this year. Of course, there's 8 teams left in 3A, 3AA and 3A. Yeah. Next year, 6 of those 8 teams will be 4A schools.
Right. Weddington will be 4A.
Weddington goes 4A.
Catholic goes 4A.
Catholic goes 4A. AC Reynolds is going 4A. Weddington, Mount Tabor will go 4A. And Dudley's going back. TC Roberson's going 4A.
Right.
So, you look at all these teams that are – I just think that's interesting when you look at the splits and how that shakes out. But, again, the thing about this Weddington-Tabor game, Dennis, you mentioned slobber knockers.
Yeah.
These are 2 outstanding defenses.
If we could describe these 2 teams, Shannon, I would describe them as huge lines, offensively and defensively, that brings us to what Robbie described as a slobber knocker. This is going to be a down and dirty lineman's dream. Steve Degree would be having a fit over what's going to take place between those 2 lines.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it, fellas?
But just looking at Weddington, you're talking about the defense. They've only allowed 39 points total this spring, and then Tabor they've allowed 53.
Yeah.
So they're dead even. That's going to be a, who's going to blink tonight. That's again, but we don't really, I know you guys were talking about Crest, going up to Tabor years ago, but, here lately, Weddington's been the big dog, coming out of Charlotte along with Catholic, but they play a different style of ball at Weddington versus Tabor. And it's going to be interesting to see just how they, does the home field advantage, does it matter in this game, like it does maybe in some other games we've got in local games, but will Tabor have the advantage here or Weddington coming in on a roll? It's going to be fun to watch.
It's going to be something we're going to break down when we look at the other teams still playing, but you look at Weddington, the conference they come out of, and the environments they've played in. So they're not going to be shocked by what they see at Tabor, but Tabor is a very difficult place to play, without a doubt. I remember when Chris went there a few years ago, I guess the greatest image I have of that night is watching Andy Foster freeze on top of a motorhome, which is a great story if you ever talk to Andy about it. But that was, you talk about a difficult place to play. And the thing about these 2 teams, they will not beat themselves.
No.
You're not going to see a lot of mistakes. So whoever wins this game will have won the game. The other team's not going to hand it to them.
Well, Robbie, you mentioned earlier about Myers Park losing some players. Look at Weddington. They finished first place in that conference, but they lost their star running back.
He's at Clemson. He's ready to be a starter next year.
He's down at Clemson in spring practice, working away. A lot of these schools, the Pacer kid at Kings Mountain, went to Gaffney, and then he's at Carolina and everything. And speaking of Kings Mountain, in that conference, Weddington finished first. Mm-hmm. Number 2 was Catholic. Mm-hmm. Number 3 was Monroe, who will be playing in Kings Mountain tonight.
And you talk about that conference, guys, and I think that's going to speak to when we talk about these teams. Charlotte Catholic is 2 plays away from not even being in the playoffs.
Right.
The Hail Mary pass against Cuthbertson won that game for them, and the way that got set up, Cuthbertson actually scored and took the lead in that game. And this blows my mind. You're playing a team like Catholic. The kids for Cuthbertson were celebrating. The official throws a celebration flag on the Cuthbertson kids after they take the lead against a program like Charlotte Catholic. Gives the 15-yard penalty. It gets Catholic that much closer for a Hail Mary pass to the end zone for the touchdown. You go to the next week against Marvin Ridge, and Marvin Ridge drives the ball down to about the 5-yard line and throws an interception to the end zone. That's how close that conference was to having Catholic sitting at home, and either Marvin Ridge being the other team in there. So that, again, when you talk about Weddington, you talk about Catholic's game, you talk about Monroe and Kings Mountain, those are going to be some hecka coach teams that have seen some hecka good teams that along the road.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of close, Robbie, Catholic was 5 seconds away from not being in the playoffs this week.
Absolutely. I mean, and maybe it's true. And when I got down to the game last week, the spirit of Jim Odo was all over the place.
Oh yes, there in the middle of the field.
So you wonder if there's some mystical Catholic things happening.
I think the Pope said a special mass or something. But
there
did the
was definitely
kids line
something
up
special.
as they came down the stairs this year?
Yep.
Yeah. They chanted some non-Catholic things in the past.
It was interesting. I had somebody ask me about it before the game that had never been to Catholic. And I said, if there's ever been a place where you go to feel like you are inside a gladiator arena, it is that Catholic field. I mean, literally, a lot of the Crest kids had never been where they had to literally stretch from 20 to 20 just so they could stand on the sidelines. I'll give the running back Neil credit a lot from Catholic. That kid got ran into the wall. I can't tell you how many times. I feel like he's watching arena football again.
I started to say arena football comes to mind when you're playing at Catholic because literally, folks, the stands and the sideline line, it's probably no more than 10 feet.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're being generous.
6
there, Dennis.
is what I would normally say, but I didn't want to create too bad of an image. But literally, you're stepping out of bounds, and you can shake the fans' hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's nowhere. Cheerleaders have to be up in the stands. There's nowhere, for any of the special stuff to go on. You are literally right on top of the action. It makes for a great environment. Now they've built this giant parking deck over there, and again, it makes me wonder: do private schools really need state money to help fund them whenever you're building, 5-story parking garages outside your football stadium?
Well, we're going to get one over. We're going to get one over at Crest as soon as the auditorium's finished, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Shannon, y'all already got one over at Shelby, aren't you?
No, that's
right. You're building a new field house.
We got to wait till baseball money comes in. We'll be
field house and AstroTurf, so you can keep up with Kings Mountain and us poor.
Yeah, keep up with the Joneses around here. It's what you got to do.
Over in the 4A, Hillside number 5 at number 1 Grimsley and 6 Butler at 2 Providence. Out east, Richmond at Cardinal Givens, New Bern at Southview. Robbie?
I like that New Bern team. And again, we talk about teams impacted by COVID. That Richmond squad's another one. They were only 3-0 coming to the playoffs. Only had 3 games in the regular season. And a lot of people were upset they even made it. But again, how do you fault the kids because of situations that were out of their control? I think they're a dangerous team coming out of the East. Butler, once again, kind of that ebb and flow of Mecklenburg County. They had dropped down a little bit. Now we see them back. Providence, this same thing. It just seems like it's really hard to stay on top in Mecklenburg County for an extended length of time unless you're a team like Charlotte Catholic. We've seen Independence disappear now. They've been gone for a while. The West Charlottes have disappeared. I can even remember the day when Harding was a dangerous team in Mecklenburg County. So, again, now Butler's kind of back on the come up as well. So, I think some great games in the eastern part. And, again, that Butler-Providence game is going to be a good one.
Yeah, Butler – let me find where I'm at. Yeah, Butler comes in. Again, talking about defense, they've only given up 74 points, 74 points on the spring. And then Providence, I mean, they've given up 94. So you got 2 teams, and plus I can guarantee you the kids probably know each other.
Absolutely.
And I mean, because the way social media is now, and the way everybody's really connected together, even in COVID, they're still connected. These kids know each other. They AAU or play or work out together wherever. So that'll be an intense game down there.
Well, Shannon, it's sort of like Cleveland County. We were talking before the show about possibilities next year, who's going to be where, doing what.
Yeah.
And Charlotte-Mecklenburg, particularly, you mentioned Independence doesn't really have a all-out program anymore. It's because Tommy Knotts is not there, and Tommy used to identify early some good players, and they conveniently showed up at Independence. I think Chris Leak, maybe his parents rented an apartment somewhere down that way, I think, when it was checked to verify, but that's the situation in Charlotte-Mecklenburg now. If you don't like Huff, you can go to Vance, or if you don't like Vance, you can go to Providence, or et cetera, moving around. But let's move over to Hillside and Grimsley. What do you guys know about those?
I don't know much. I know Grimsley's in Greensboro. That's what
they're known as the Whirlies, so I'll give them that too.
That's about more than I know, fellas.
And I know Chris played them one time, so
long time ago in a land far, far away. Well, let's speak of some teams that we may be just a little bit more familiar with. After this break, we'll come back and talk about Richmond and Cardinal Gibbons. Kevin, take it away.
One that I come in contact with that could use their service. We don't know what your needs are, but we know our commitment. We're committed to you. Call 704-470-2440 or log on to caldervalentine.com. Hope starts with a phone call. Call now.
Yes, 2020 was quite a year, and we all hope 2021 will be much better. And Bill Shuford Heating and Air in Shelby wants to help. They carry the iWave air purifiers. The iWave air purifier can rid almost all SARS, COVID-19 allergens. And when run for 30 minutes, it can eliminate 99.4% of the virus. Find out more by calling Bill Shuford Heating and Air at 704-484-0025. Be safe and stay warm and cozy. That's Bill Shuford Heating and Air. 213 Campbell Street in Shelby. Online at BillShufordHVAC.com. See their page at WhatsAppShopper.com and like them on Facebook too. Give your home a new look for spring and summer with a stop at Baird's Floor Covering in Kings Mountain. Right now, take 15% off all carpet and vinyl remnants. Hey, that's not all. Baird's Floor Covering in Kings Mountain has additional selection of select vinyl and carpet remnants at 50% off the marked price. And they carry wide width vinyl and carpet. And they do rug binding too. That's Baird's Floor Covering, 150 Dixon School Road in Kings Mountain. See their page at WhatsAppShopper.com and like them on Facebook too. It's time to join the family.
We are family.
Join the Chevy family at Carter Chevrolet in Shelby. Coming out for special offers. Get $4,000 customer cash on a new 2021 Chevrolet Equinox. Get $2,750 customer cash on the new 2021 Chevrolet Blazer. And get $2,250 customer cash on the new 2021 Chevrolet Trailblazer. Come on in for all the details and join the family, the Chevy family, at Carter Chevrolet, 200 West Dixon Boulevard in Shelby, online at carterchevyofshelby.com.
And good evening and welcome back to Witherspoon Insurance Pregame Show. Football Friday nights on KTC Broadcasting. I'm Kevin Hastings. In the studios tonight, Shannon White. Right? No.
Rub it in.
Robbie Turquoise is in the house.
Yes.
And Dennis Periwinkle. Dennis Davis, Rob Rube, Shannon Allen. All right, let's talk 1A football. We've got Murphy at Elkin tonight, Winston-Salem Prep at Mitchell in the West, Pamlico County at Northside Pinetown, if you can get all that out, and Northampton, and this is my favorite school of the year, Bear Grass Charter.
Okay. Fellas, forget
Bear
that
grass.
order we had going earlier.
Yeah.
We're going to do 1A instead. Let's take it from there. Up there, starting at the top of that
I want to
chart.
know what Robbie Roop knows about Bear Grass Charter.
Actually, I know about bear grass too.
Go ahead, Shannon. I'll see if let Shannon say it. I'll see if I agree.
Bear grass actually
See if I
played,
agree.
they actually played Pine Lake Prep Easter week, or that the weekend before, or the weekend before or after Easter. It was on a Saturday. They played them at Pine Lake. Pine Lake beat them. Bear grass is just on the other side of Greenville.
Okay.
All right, everybody, East Carolina. They
Wow.
are, if I can remember, I'm trying to think. They don't. I think they. I mean, everybody passes the ball. I think that's. I don't know about their offense, but anyway, they're in a conference that really nobody is like charter school conference, the kind of conferences I think we all are wanting around here.
Right.
But they are. I think that's what they're in down there. And I think they're just in the playoffs because they were the number one seed out of that conference, maybe, and have been, lucky so far.
Officially in Williamston.
Williamston, that's what-
went 4-1.
Home of Gaylord Perry.
Yeah, on the season.
And it was interesting story about that school, guys. When the school was being built, it didn't actually have a name, and they were out there constructing it. And one of the construction workers looked out across the yard, and they saw a bear kind of rolling around playing. He said, "Man, look at that bear in the grass." and that's how you go with the Bear Grass Charter.
Bear
So I mean, you ain't going to get information like this just anywhere.
No.
I
tell
mean,
you what.
you come here for information, folks.
When you have experts like these two guys, you get the full information that you need to determine. Now, who's going to win the game?
Well, Rob, now that you knew that, where did Mount Pleasant get their name from?
Mount Pleasant. Well, see, a lot of people don't realize this, but when that school was being built, they didn't have a name yet. And they were standing outside, and as one of the construction workers was standing there looking out across the mount that
Tommy
was in the
Knotts
distance.
was over there smoking a
They
joint.
said, this is a really pleasant area.
Oh, okay.
And the guy looks and said, that's the school name, man. That's Mount Pleasant.
Well, Bear Grass Charter, Columbia and Mattamusket both didn't play this year, so Bear Grass did win their conference. They're only one to play a game. They were 4-1 out of the conference. So that they, however, the things end up in a 2 seed with that. But I just the Bear. Okay, let's see a guess around the room. What is their nickname?
Could it be the Bears?
Rob, your guess?
Let's see, what would be a good name? The Bear Grass Charter Bow Weevils.
Robbie was close, but it was the Bears. So I hate the repetitiveness. It
was
drives
either
me crazy.
Bears or Fescue. I couldn't decide.
Like the Elkin Elks, the Bear Grass Bears, the Kings Mountain Mountaineers. It drives me nuts.
Shelby Lions.
Well, it's not the Shelbyans.
That still drives us crazy.
Well, okay.
It could be the Colonel Shelbys.
Let's see. So they beat
Isaacs.
South Creek. Well, we're spending way too much time on Bear Grass Charter, but anyway, they're 20.
You wanted information.
I know they did lose to Pine Lake. It was 20-6 on April 3rd. So if that gives you any.
And I'll
Any
tell you
idea?
this, they get rolled tonight.
Okay, there you go.
They get
Northampton
rolled
for the win, Rob.
Yeah,
You think they'll mow them down?
I'm taking. Yeah, they're going to mow. The grass will be mowed.
All right,
This evening.
Murphy will go up to Elkin, Winston-Salem Prep up to Mitchell. Now over in the 1AA, Al Bundy and the Polk County Wolverines go over to North Rowan,
Hey,
8-4 seed.
don't be putting down Polk County. Coach Ollis up there.
Did I say anything about putting them
No,
down? I
no,
just
you-
said Al Bundy's
Al-
leading the way to North Rowan
Anyway,
in his Dodge.
can you win 3 games in a row and not play?
Oh, they're trying to.
That's
Well, they
exactly
did.
what they're trying to do.
They were, due to COVID, able to advance 3 games and still get the number 8 position.
They hadn't played in a month.
I know. Why play when you can? It's sort of like the why work when the government will send you a check. It's why play when you can get a forfeit.
Well, Polk County went 5-1. They lost to Hendersonville by 8
Yeah.
this year. So if you folks thinking about the Shelby matchup, Hendersonville only beat Polk County by 8 tonight. Tonight, February 26th to open the season. Polk beat East Rutherford 49-14. Beat Madison, Owen, Avery County. And North got the forfeit from North Stanley 2-0.
Well, they're
And
not
so-
playing Hendersonville tonight. They're playing North Rowan. Guys, what do you think on that game?
My thing, guys, if they can shake the rust off of being off that long, I think they win this game. I really do. I think they advance.
I don't know. North Rowan's got a lot of athletes up there, so I'm gonna take North Rowan at home over Polk County.
North Rowan 5-2. They lost 43-0 to High Brighton and 15-0 to North Stanley.
But High Brighton ain't bad.
Yeah,
Here's my question, though, Kevin. Maybe you can jump in on this one too. Jumping over that Winston-Salem Prep Mitchell game. Winston-Salem Prep, they are at a 16 conference. Okay, they were Mount Airy and East Surrey. They're the number 3 seed and got in out of a 16 conference. And I'm thinking, and I know it's 1A, but I'm sitting there thinking, there's some teams at home right now going, well, man, we were better than those guys. And I know it's 1A versus other conferences, other classifications, but that's just interesting right there to seeing. Just looking here, they got beat by East Surrey. They've lost 2 games, got beat by both East Surrey and Mount Airy.
Well, if you remember, the big thing on that, though, what you talk about the 1A thing and the 4A, if you remember, there's less schools in the 1s and 4s right now.
Yeah, I know.
It's not even. And so for the 2 and 3As look relatively normal is a good an abnormal thing. So you might I don't even want to look at the 1s and 4s and think that's going to make sense. You just kind of especially this year with the random draws. Good luck with that.
That's what got me, guys. And I know I do the Chris games and I'm a Chris supporter, but there's no reason to. And to me, this is for both teams. Crest and Catholic should have never played in the first round.
True.
When you look at the other teams, if they were like you said, Kevin, with the blind draw, and that's what we got out of that. There's no reason Crest and Catholic should have played. When you look at state rankings, you look at the Max Preps rankings that the state talks about and how pleased they are with, Crest and Catholic should have never seen each other in the first round.
Well, you start with Burns and High Brighton.
That
Same thing.
Never should have been a first-round matchup.
Right. Well, the Catholic's going to get in the playoffs no matter what. They're going to be there. The state would probably shut down if they were not in the playoffs every year.
Yep.
But I agree.
Well, real quick on that. So Catholic was 14 points from the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. How about this? Shelby this year went 5-2 in the regular season. They were 14 points away from being 2-5.
South Point, if they were 1 point away from being the number 2 team in the playoffs, especially since they beat Shelby.
We could have had playoffs if one thing bounces the wrong way. You have Catholic and Shelby not in the playoffs based on only taking the 16 teams this year. Shelby 14 points away from being not like losing one game, 2-5.
Yeah.
So this spring semester football is a little weird. How about I've got Winston-Salem Prep beat Lexington, Bartlett Yancey, South Stokes, North Stokes, Bishop McGinnis, and lost to Robbinsville. Robbinsville 8-0. They lost to East Surrey 54-8.
And I will say in that list, Bishop McGinnis, the greatest mascot ever. When your mascot is the Villains, that's just a cool mascot.
Is it? That's I like that one.
Bishop
There we go.
McGinnis
There we go.
Villains.
That's way better than the what did we have a minute ago?
The Bow Weevils.
You know who's got the worst one? Lexington.
I thought it was that Gaston County baseball team.
No, it's Lexington.
Okay.
Give them time.
It's because it's
The Hunters.
the Hunters.
it's the Lexington
What are they, honey?
are called the Yellow Jackets, but they're orange.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Like, is this not like an educational system?
Well, think about it.
But what are you doing in kindergarten?
Winston-Salem Prep played Robbinsville. Kevin, do you know the map of North Carolina geography?
Kinda.
Robbie, you went to Crest. I'm assuming you know where Robbinsville is and you know where Winston-Salem is. Mm-hmm. That's a heck of a bus ride.
That's a nice little haul to go play a high school game for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about their opponent, Mitchell. Mitchell has been fairly successful in this football area. What do you guys know about Mitchell and their chances against Winston-Salem Prep tonight?
Well, they come in. They're 7-0. They've only given up 70 points out of that Western Highlands, but it's a 1A, 2A conference. Actually, they probably should have been the number 1 seed, if you want to, look at it that way. But, I don't know. I think this game here tonight, I don't know what type of team Winston-Salem has. I know what type of basketball team they have, but do they have the same type of players that play football? And Mitchell's going to push you around. They're going to be physical. But is Winston-Salem going to be too quick? They're going to be too athletic. That's,
It's
speed
the old
versus
mountain
strength.
teams versus the Piedmont teams.
Yeah, but the mountain teams, I mean, they've come along strong here the past few years. I think this may be a little closer than what we think. But I think Winston-Salem, honestly, I think they win this game just for overall athleticism.
Well, guys, I may have something wrong typed in on that.
I was about to say, guys, isn't Mitchell played in
I've got Mitchell
Robbinsville?
Robbinsville. I think I typed that in. I didn't type it. I read that wrong. I'm so
So
sorry.
they're not playing Winston-Salem Prep's not playing
No, it's it's Robbinsville.
Mitchell and Robbinsville.
Yeah, I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm
well,
like,
they're
wait a
playing
minute, I
at
did
Mitchell,
that so wrong.
that
I'm so
changes
sorry.
everything.
Yeah.
They haven't.
Robbinsville beat Winston-Salem Prep last week, and that's what I did. I typed that in. It was a 2-point game. Robbinsville won 42-40, and I typed in the wrong schedule. So my fault on that. It's Mitchell against Robbinsville, and both are undefeated. Sorry, folks.
I was about to say, take Mitchell in this one. Robbinsville, from what I understand, is beat up.
Yeah,
They
I'll
are
take
a
Mitchell
beat
at
up
home.
football team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
No problem. Right, Shannon White.
Yeah, we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes.
It's one of those.
Anybody
nice
want more information about Beargrass Charter? We got it.
Yeah, we got that down. We nailed that one. All right. Pine Lake Prep at East Surrey can I don't even know what Pine Lake Prep's the Pride. Sorry, the Pride. Can the Line Pride pull off the upset over East Surrey?
Well, I'll take this one. Nobody else wants it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So they come in. Pine Lake Prep, they're a one-man show. Vic Garrido, he as he goes, they're going to go. He's thrown for over 1,150 yards. He's averaging 150 yards per game. He has 14 touchdowns. And they also have a gentleman helping, Colby Lane. He does run the ball some for Pine Lake, but it's more or less Garrido's show. But the thing is with East Surrey, they're defending state champion from last football season.
Yep.
They're the number one seed out of the Northwest 1A Conference, and they're averaging 39 a game. They're giving up 12. They're led by sophomore quarterback Folger Boaz. He has over 1,400 yards passing here on the spring. They also have the wide receivers are Carson Hawks and Leighton Allen, and their tight end. They use a tight end. Somebody around here used a tight end. That's like an anomaly now. But Benji Gosnell is their tight end. So, but East Surrey is a tough team. They're at home. They're extremely tough. But Pine Lakes, I think they're opening some eyes this year. But I like East Surrey at home by 1. I got them 28-27 over Pine Lake Prep.
Is that a blocking tight end or a pass catching tight end?
I think it's a pass catching.
Who picks a 1-point win?
I do. 28-27.
You guys are going to lose because your kicker's going to miss an extra point. That's awful mean, Shannon.
You don't think
It's happened before in state championship.
Well, it happens every week. Happens every week, but still.
Not to mention any names.
I stood in Raleigh and watched it happen.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So, look, I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's awful mean for him to pick it like that. So little quick information. I don't know how I haven't read the story, but Pine Lake Prep has a receiver who played his second game ever last week for the team. I don't know if he's injured coming into the season. Well, I don't know. It says Jack Baldwin played his second game ever, and he had a school record 235 yards receiving.
That would be interesting to find out where he's been and
Who'd
why.
they play last week? I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No.
Dennis has the brackets right in front of him. That's the quickest way
Pine Lake
if he
Prep.
could find that. And the
That's
1A,
It
they're
don't matter.
they're the 1AA, Dennis, on your brackets there. Also, just looking at, I just wanted to look at you pulling up some of their stuff. How about they're ranked in the Sweet 16 this week?
Well, that's Charlotte for you. I mean,
They beat Mount Airy last week.
Well, they're ranked 15th, right ahead of Lake Norman, one spot behind Monroe. Shelby 10, Burns 11 in the Observer Sweet 16, Kings Mountain 7. If you were wondering about that, but yeah, Pine Lake Prep did crack the Sweet 16.
They must have put some new paper boxes in.
There you go, over in the area.
We all know how that poll.
Well, it's closer to Charlotte. If you're closer to Charlotte, you're going to get a better.
That is
rating.
Mooresville, aren't they in Mooresville?
It's based on subscribers. The more subscribers you get, the higher your rating, I think, in that particular poll.
I remember the days when the Gaffney Indians were making appearances in the Sweet 16, and then the subscription numbers dropped, and all of a sudden Gaffney's no longer
They're terrible.
there.
Gaffney don't have a football team, do they?
Well,
And
yeah.
they said that Crest wasn't in their coverage area.
That's right.
Are you Shannon, with your East Surrey 1-point win, how many points you got them in the state?
Yes. East Surrey's tough. During this COVID, Loman, their coach used to be at Bandy's.
Trent.
Trent. So they're start following them on Twitter, and those kids, I mean, they work out. I mean, those kids are bought into that program. And I think winning last football season, 2019, I think that has really lit a fire under them, and those kids coming in know what to expect. So, yeah, I look East Surrey going all the way.
Well, that brings us to the big game between Holmes and Tarboro down east. Anybody got anything on that?
I can tell you this is the 4th straight year these two teams have met in the playoffs.
Wow.
The previous 3 were in the Eastern Championship. The issues being Tarboro has flat out destroyed them in those games.
And they will tonight, too.
I think they will. Yeah, I do, too. I think this Holmes team's a little bit better. They're a little bit bigger than they've been in the past. But I think once again, we're going to see the same result we've seen from the last 3 years.
Well, Tarboro is the number 1 seed in there, and Holmes is the 4th seed. So, Robbie, what you're saying follows that line and makes sense that Tarboro will once again stick it to them, if you will.
Tarboro's averaging over 50 a game and only giving up 8 a game.
Oh, yeah.
So they're legit. Tarboro's a real deal.
Okay. Lewisburg and what is it? East Carteret.
Yep.
Somebody has to win it.
Yeah.
Come on now.
So is this
the number 2 team, Lewisburg, for Lewis Carpenter? How about just a minute?
There you go. I like that thought.
Yeah.
That's not even how you spell it.
I know it's not.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to break down the 2 and 3As and get into those games. And, of course, our local teams, get into those pretty deep and talk about that. And we'll be back in just a few minutes on KTCBroadcasting.com.
Hey, we don't care if you sing along.
I love to sing at work.
It gets me through my day.
101.5 FM and 1390 AM. WOHS Shelby, the boss.
Hey, this is Terry Gore and the Dr. Randy Davis with the Afternoon Sea Cruise. We're on every Monday from 2 to 6 and now every Tuesday from 1 to 4 on KTCBroadcasting.com and The Boss Radio.
Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price. With names like The Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General, and Travelers. Drop by the office today at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986.
Celebrating lives and healing grieving hearts. That's the theme of the Stamey Tysinger Funeral Home and Cremation Center in Falston and the Stamey Cherryville Funeral Home on Dixie Street in Cherryville. Their staff is committed to providing your family with the highest quality care and service in your time of need. For more information, visit the websites at StameyTysingerFuneralHome.com and StameyCherryvilleFuneralHome.com, both giving you the gift of comfort for you and your family.
What's next?
Code 12, flickering lights.
What if it's a ghost this time? Please enter. Definitely a ghost.
I've seen malarkey like this before. Classic bad wiring.
We got this. Thank you.
See, Pete, no ghosts.
Oh no, this place is totally haunted.
See, Jane? You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
This day and time, you need to be concerned about your health, and Hoffer Heating and Air in Shelby can help. Talk with them about phenomenal air-cold plasma generator technology. It cleans the air naturally and can eliminate 99% of COVID. Also virus, bacteria, mold, pollen, dust, dander, and odors, including smoke odors. And it's time for your preseason checkup. Book your service online for just $55. Or mention the Facebook page or WhatsAppShopper.com and get it for just $45. Or visit the website at HofferHVAC.com. Hoffer Heated and Air in Shelby. It's the best time of the year to buy a new mower from Elliott Supply Company in Polkville. Now for a limited time, Elliott Supply Company in Polkville is having a year-end closeout sale on in-stock mowers. With name brands like Husqvarna and Skag, you'll get the best deal of the year. Again, in-stock Husqvarna and Skag mowers are at year-end sale prices now. So hurry on in and save big money. Only at Elliott Supply Company, 2301 West Stagecoach Trail, Highway 182 in Polkville. Give your home a new look for spring and summer with a stop at Baird's Floor Covering in Kings Mountain. Right now, take 15% off all carpet and vinyl remnants. Hey, that's not all. Baird's Floor Covering in Kings Mountain has additional selection of select vinyl and carpet remnants at 50% off the mark price. And they carry wide width vinyl and carpet, and they do rug binding too. That's Baird's Floor Covering, 150 Dixon School Road in Kings Mountain. See their page at WhatsAppShopper.com and like them on Facebook too.
Welcome back to the Witherspoon Insurance North Carolina Prep Football Pregame Show. Brought to you by Witherspoon Insurance of Shelby. Good afternoon, everybody. KTC Broadcasting. Salisbury and Burns coming up in just a little bit. Kickoff 7:30. We're going to send it out to the stadiums at 7 o'clock. You can listen to us now on the radio. Watch us on YouTube. Yetis and Fayetteville Tech playing right now on YouTube, folks. You can watch that on the WHS channel. But tonight, we've got right now pregame show action. We've got in the 3AA matchups tonight, out east, Lee County is at number 1 Cleveland. That's 5 seed. And number 7 at West Brunswick. Who comes out of the east 3AA, guys? Thoughts? Oh, there you go. Let me turn you on.
Well, we're on. Cleveland is the number 1 seed, guys.
Right.
Lee County's the number 5 seed. Seeing as how we don't know a whole lot about either one of them, I would go with Cleveland. You guys fill me in with what you know.
I would go that same route. The reason for me, Dennis, we all know how great Cleveland County football is. So
it just
anytime
naturally
you
rubs
attach
off.
that name Cleveland to a school, I think it's got to benefit them. So I take Cleveland in that one, and I'd probably go with West Brunswick on the other side against Cleveland.
I tell you what, Robbie brought his A-game logic tonight for anything and everything, really.
I've been saving up.
West Brunswick does have a Cleveland County connection. Their coach used to coach over at Gardner Webb. That's where when Carol McRae went to Gardner. I can't think. I had his name and I looked it up and I can't find it. But he was the quarterback coach at Gardner Webb. Now he is back. He graduated from West Brunswick. I think he went to maybe Furman or something like that. But anyway, he's now he's back coaching at his where his daddy coached. He's coaching his alma mater, and they got a turf field down at just in Shallotte, however you want to call it. They got a turf field down there. They got excitement. They got a pretty good football team too. So I'm gonna pick them to come out of the 3AA in the East.
All right.
And you said that was Carol McRae's son?
No. That's a guy Carol brought with him.
When he came.
He was at Furman. I think they were together at Furman, and then Carol brought him to at North Greenville, and then brought him to Gardner Webb.
So a chance to see Cleveland take on a West Brunswick with a Cleveland County connection. Guys, it's amazing the tentacles of Cleveland County, how it just reaches through the state of North Carolina.
I'm sure we can go even deeper than that.
I'm sure Clayton's coming out of there now. Y'all said all that. Dudley 8 at number 5, Roberson, and number 3, Weddington at number 2, Mount Tabor in the 3AA, fellas. What you got?
I'm telling you guys, another matchup. I like this Dudley Roberson game. TC has shown they can put points on the board in a hurry this year. This is probably going to be the most athletic team they've seen in Dudley. Dudley every year has athletes everywhere. Yeah. But this TC teams are well coached. They got a great quarterback. They can score points. And TC can be a tough place to play when they're good. Chris has gone up there and played them when they've been really good, and it can be a difficult place to play.
Had some tough games. And
that's, you talk about long haul, ride from Greensboro to TC wouldn't be no fun on a Friday either.
On a school bus.
Yeah.
You've mentioned that they may be 4A next year, too.
Yeah.
So they probably currently have 4A numbers.
Absolutely.
So Dudley, in effect, is playing a 4A school tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, they TC Roberson, they got a quarterback you mentioned. His name's Brody Whitson. He's thrown for over 2,000 yards in 8 ball games, and he has 27 touchdowns. So TC's going to put the ball in the air, and I do believe he's probably one of the top quarterbacks in the state.
Yep.
And this is his senior year. But the thing that surprises me about Roberson is they are as good as they are. They have given up over 235 points. They don't have a defense, and so basically you got to outscore them. They have to outscore your opponents in a shootout, but they've got the guy to do it. This kid can, he can light it up. So, yeah, I like Roberson tonight, but you're going to have to play Weddington or Tabor.
I think to me, when I look at this whole thing up and down and through with East and West both, I think the winner of Weddington Tabor tonight is going to be your 3AA state champion.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I've got a question about this game tonight. As Dudley goes up the hill, does the weather affect how this game is played tonight? You talked about him throwing a lot. It's going to be a little cool up in the mountains tonight. Does that affect the ability to catch the ball?
Well, they're used to it.
I was about to say, that's the key. TC has been accustomed to it.
Yeah.
So I think they can adapt quicker maybe than this Dudley team can, because we've seen it before. Teams that have gone up the mountain, if you can't adjust to that cold weather, and this is really about as cold as you've seen this spring, what it's going to be tonight up in the mountains. So I think that can be difficult for them. Again, I think with Dudley's athletes, I think Dudley wins this game, but I think it turns into a high-score shootout, kind of like what we saw, I think it was last week against Watauga, was a pretty high-scoring game between TC and Watauga. I think we'll see the same thing this week.
All right. Well, moving over to Weddington, Mount Tabor, we talked a little bit earlier about Mount Tabor and the tradition that they have. Big guys, and a little bit about Weddington. They've given up their running back to Clemson for spring practice. That's a 2 and 3 seed, guys. That's going to be a tough game tonight. It's being played at Mount Tabor, not at Weddington. Does that change the effects of the game any?
Well, I mean, Weddington's got a great defense, and not only did I think they lost their starting quarterback, or not their starting the guy that would have been quarterback this year. I think he left early to go off to college too. So I think, but Weddington's defense, they have just a stingy defense, probably one of the better ones, maybe coming out of Mecklenburg County, and that's including Vance and Huff. And so I think Weddington goes up to Tabor tonight. I think they win. I agree with what Robbie said a while ago. This is your state championship game right here.
The key is going to be, guys, Tabor wants to run the football. And with Weddington's defense, to me, it's going to be hard for Tabor to be successful to run against the Weddington D. They're going to have to put the ball in the air, which is something Tabor's not really wanted to do this year. The thing that has always amazed me when I've watched Weddington play, it's like somewhere they set up a factory. And they started turning a crank, and all these 6'1", 6'2", 200-pound kids just started coming off the assembly line. And when you watch them walk on the field, it's like, here all these kids are, the same size, exact same kid across the board that's not going to make a mistake. They're not going to beat themselves. We talked about that earlier. So, again, Tabor's got to put the ball in the air. They're going to have to do things they're not comfortable with to beat Weddington, and I don't think that'll be enough to get it done. I think Weddington wins this game.
Well, Weddington kids are, I hate to say this, pretty sharp. They come from good family backgrounds, very stable. Weddington, if you know anything about it, is a very prosperous area.
And Dennis, that's a great point. I've talked to some people about that. The thing that's happens at Weddington now, you think about Boone, the quarterback at Duke. He actually came back to the area, started offering camps. Mm-hmm. So you got all these kids with the money that can afford to go to all these specialized camps. They can specialize in positions. They can understand the weight training, the nutrition, everything that can be involved to make you a better athlete. The kids at Weddington are able to get. You look at the basketball game. Crest played Weddington in the basketball West Championship this year. You look at those kids, and I was talking to Mari Adams' mom. And she talked about those kids. She said it was amazing to watch how everything was so professional. Everything they do is professional. And so that's and like you said, that's what happens in an area like this. You're able to do things that, let's be honest, a lot of our kids in Cleveland County would never have a chance to get. For a lot of our kids, it's walk on the field. You let me know when football practice starts, and I'll show up and I'll be there, and I'll work out during school, during weightlifting
That's
class.
in all these counties. That's every county around here.
So
but
that's
these
our
kids,
area.
Robbie, to follow up on where I was going, these kids probably have personal trainers.
Absolutely.
They have a nutritionist. They have the finest in athletic equipment and supplies and materials. We picture soccer moms. They got some football moms down in Weddington, and their winning tradition has just fired that up a little bit more. They take a great deal of pride in the fact that we're from Weddington and we're good.
All right, guys. Before our
they can shoot threes.
Before our next break, and we talk about the 3A with Kings Mountain Catholic and AC Reynolds, we're going to send it back out to Forest City for a minute for some baseball. Yetis have come back, score down 5-0 in the bottom of the 7th, 1 out, bases loaded. Tying run is out at second base, winning run at first, and we're going to go out to Yetis baseball for a second on KTC and see what happens.
He just went into the game. He's been playing first ever since.
Parker Shope is at the plate for the Yetis.
Entered the game for Huber, yeah.
That ball outside, 2-0 now to Shope. 2-0 pitch in there for a strike, 2-1.
Still need good heads-up base running with only 1 out.
breaking ball low for ball 3, 3-1.
Yep, came a little in too. On the left-handed batting, Shope. 3-1 pitch coming. Thought he had been walked. Umpire been calling the outside strike today. Gives him one there.
Right there.
Not a terrible pitch. It's a good enough pitch to call a strike.
So full count now for Shope.
That's a ball.
And that'll walk in a run. So 5-4 now. Yetis winning run at second base.
Getting interesting. Fayetteville Trojans.
Yeah, and now it's
trying to come apart on us here.
It's Michael Green, who pinch hit his last time up. Now he's back up there for his second at-bat.
Michael Green, a local Crest Charger product, at the plate now with a chance to win the game for the Yetis.
There with the game on the line, 1 out, bases loaded, down by a run. If we could score the guy from second, that would do it.
And Green fouls off that inside pitch, 0-1.
A gapper would be a walk-off here. Just gotta put it in play. We're gonna bat around from the looks of it. Don't wanna, barring the double play.
0-1 in there for a strike. So
took a good pitch there.
Green down 0-2. A little frustrated with himself after looking at that one.
Let's have a little wiggle here. Nothing feeble.
0-2 pitch.
Swing and a miss.
So Green down on strikes, and now
that is going to get us back to the top.
Yep, so bases loaded, 2 out. Yetis down a run, and Darian Munoz stepping in, the leadoff hitter.
Start the game off with a double in the gap, authoritative. Need another one of those right here.
Yeah, that would win it if he could do it again.
Come on, Munoz. Curveball. That's not what he's looking for. First pitch. That's a good first pitch strike there.
Yeah, would have been a good one to hit if he was looking for it, but
yeah,
nobody expecting first pitch curveball, bases loaded.
No, that was a good pitch. Comes back one in the dirt.
Yep.
Easy take. 1-1 now to Munoz. Come on, Munoz.
Game on the line here in this at-bat. Cole Hoffer versus Munoz.
Just a little base hit.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. 1-1 pitch. He fouls it off at a play to the right.
All right, things getting tense here.
Yeah, Yetis down to their last strike. 1-2 count.
He squatches all over the bases. The bases are squatched. Lifts it. It's going to stay in play. The first baseman's under it in foul territory. He's drifting, but he squeezes it near the tarp, and we come up a run short in the 7th. And it is the one run that they scored at the plate on the blown call. It's the one run they scored on the foul ball that was called fair. How did we know that was going to come back to haunt us?
Yeah, you said it, Jason. A couple close calls that ended up in
Not
some
close.
runs.
Bad.
Yeah, well.
Hey, we don't care if you sing along.
I love to sing at work. It gets me through my day.
101.5 FM and 1390 AM. WOHS Shelby, the boss.
Hey, this is Terry Gore and the Dr. Randy Davis with the Afternoon Sea Cruise. We're on every Monday from 2 to 6 and now every Tuesday from 1 to 4 on KTCBroadcasting.com and The Boss Radio.
Keep it covered or store it up with a new carport or storage building from Sheila Sheds in Cherryville and Shelby. And right now, Sheila Sheds is having a carport special. Certified carports start at just $13.45. Get yours today, and be sure to check out their selection of storage barns, sheds, portable buildings, metal sheds, and more. Sheila Sheds, 2261 Lincoln Highway, Highway 150 East in Cherryville, also 2104 East Dixon Boulevard in Shelby. Like them on Facebook, too. In Shelby, call 704-406-9185. In Cherryville, call 704-802-4610. Is flooring in your remodeling or building plans? Then go see John Strickland at Boiling Springs Carpet and Tile, 137 North Main Street in Boiling Springs. They're your full-service flooring center with a great selection of quality brands. Flooring by Mannington, Thermocore XL, Permastone, and a new waterproof Mohawk Rev Wood. Carpeting by Mohawk, Shaw, and Southwind. hardwood flooring by Somerset and Shaw, and luxury waterproof vinyl plank and tile. Check them out today. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5:30, Saturday 10 to 1, or by appointment, call 704-434-9019. Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price, with names like The Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General, and Travelers. Drop by the office today at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986. Join us every Sunday at 11 a.m. for our Sunday morning worship services. On WCSL 1590 AM and 92.3 FM, it's the Sunday morning service of First Baptist Church in Cherryville. On WLON 1050 AM and 107.5 FM, it's the Sunday service of the Covenant Bible Church in Lincolnton. And on WOHS 1390 AM and 101.5 FM, it's the Sunday service of the Calvary Baptist Church of Shelby. Join us each and every Sunday morning for our Sunday morning worship services on The Boss and Carolina Country.
It's a celebration at Marburger Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Shelby. It's the Jeep Celebration event. And what an event it is. Get up to 0% financing for 84 months. NC Tractor and Farm Supply features a complete parts and service department. In addition to tractors, they have all the implements you need, from hay equipment to plows, discs, drills, scrapes, and more. Plus, they carry Bobcat zero-turn mowers, along with other name brands like Bush Hog, Woods, Land Pride, and more. NC Tractor and Farm Supply in Rutherford. Online at nctractorandfarmsupply.com. Like them on Facebook, too.
Take advantage of a special offer on the versatile Kubota BX Series subcompact tractor. Switching attachments is simple, and a smooth hydrostatic transmission makes for easy operation. The Kubota BX Series, the #1 selling subcompact tractor in the U.S. for over 10 years. You own the land. Now, make it yours. Get the Kubota BX 2380 for payments as low as $99 a month.
Your Kubota dealer is Parker Farm Service, 126 Bessie Drive, off Highway 74 at Oak Grove Road, Kings Mountain.
And good afternoon, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Witherspoon Insurance pregame show. Pregame show. The games are not over. KTCBroadcasting.com. You can listen to WHS 101.5 FM, 1390 AM. Cleveland County only tonight. You can watch the show on YouTube. Watch the Red Zones channel and the postgame show all on YouTube. Burns Bulldogs tonight, live on WHS, live on YouTube audio with us on the Red Zone. But good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the postgame show brought to you by Witherspoon Insurance of Shelby, North Carolina. Couple of quick tidbits there, guys. Rob, in Shannon, you know, I think we talked about on the Saturday show, if I'm correct. I think Tom brought it up about, you know, all the money as far as the Athletic Association makes and, you know, puts it out or whatever. And the state, if the state's going to make you play 5 hours away, shouldn't anything over like a 2-hour drive not be on a school bus, and the state should help pay for that? That's what our thoughts was. If you're gonna have to go out there, a state should pay for that, right? $
41 million in assets the Athletic Association has. The second highest in the country is the state of Iowa, and it's a little less than 20. The Athletic Association of North Carolina has nearly the amount of assets the Atlantic Coast Conference has. Now, guys, you tell me. And you keep having all these endowment games. Well, we need your endowment money, and we need this, and we need this. And I'm not saying because Lord knows, and Dennis, you've been in the realm of politics. I'm not saying putting a bunch of politicians in charge of the association is going to make it any better.
Is that a rim sort of like around a toilet bowl?
Yeah, it can be. But I think, to me, there's got to be more transparency. And Kevin, you make a great point. Teams that are having to travel that far, there needs to be some kind of kickback. My thought has always been this, and when Roy Kirby was here in Cleveland, he talked about how, Creston had usually had to get into the second and third round before they started making money off playoffs.
Yeah.
You can talk to a lot of schools, especially to 1A ranks, by making the playoffs and only making the first round, they lose money. There's no excuse for a playoff team that hosts a home game, or even if you're on the road, there's no reason a team in the state of North Carolina should have to lose money because they make the playoffs.
Well, Robbie, in the words of the Honorable James B. Hunt, former governor of North Carolina, it's all about the little children. It's about the little children.
Yes, sir.
Except that's why they're sitting on a pile over there. So I would like to see him pay a little less executive salaries, drive not so fancy cars for the association, and the members stay in maybe a smaller hotel when they travel around the country, and put that money instead into scholarships, trainers.
Right. Well, looking at the math, Dennis and Robbie and Shannon, that they spent the same amount of money on 19 salaries at the Athletic Association as they did on all the scholarships combined that they gave out in the state. When you do the math on it, they gave up about 2 scholarships per county on the average of, and remember that's 1 year. So Rob, if the state is good enough to, or the association is good enough to pick you to be one of the 2 students from Cleveland County, they'll pay for your tuition at Charlotte for 1 year. But it's up to you to get the other $45,000. I'm just saying, it's just the thing is, there's no rule that says a school has to be part of them, right? So right now, if us 4 guys want to start the North Carolina, how many ever letters we want to put into it, A, B, C, D, A, F, G Football Association, we could start it right now and be like, hey guys, Dennis, you say they're paying $1 per school. I tell you all what,
per student.
Per student, we'll take a quarter per student and we'll make the brackets for you.
Well, back in
like what are we doing? We're bracket making,
further.
right?
Back in the coaching days, back when Robbie was a student in my class. Sorry, Robbie, I brought you out.
That's okay. It's like time gets faster. It's
there was a Western North Carolina Athletic Association.
Right, I remember that.
Eastern North Carolina Athletic Association. And we finally merged the 2 together. But it was interesting to see that we were able to declare an Eastern champion and a Western champion at that particular time. And people said, well, that's not a state champion. Maybe we need to merge these 2. Going to coaches clinics in Greensboro, that's a product of the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. And I would dare say, Kevin, that they make a lot of money off that because they charge the coaches to come to that.
Well, a prime example, and just like we're talking about here, and Kevin, the fee for broadcast rights.
Right.
I mean, you talk about that money. That's not money that's going back to the schools. That's money that's going into the Athletic Association.
During the playoffs, right.
Plus, you have the NFHS, whatever it is called, that
National Federation of High School Network.
Yeah, they've gotten in bed with that the schools isn't getting money from them, but the Athletic Association continues to get money from them as well. So there's so many places where money is going to the Athletic Association that is bypassing the schools completely. And my issue, I guess, for the schools is this. Your complacency has allowed this to happen. Just like a lot of people are now complaining about going back to 4 classifications. Well, the Athletic Association approached you and was looking for votes, but when you have schools not willing to show up and cast a vote, you're kind of digging your own grave. The small 1As were upset. Of course, they're voting, but when you're a middle of the road size wise, and numbers are not going to affect you one way or the other. You're going to Crest and Kings Mountain. You're going to be 3A, regardless of how it's split, however they put how many where there. And I'm not saying that they didn't vote. I feel like our athletic directors and
there's a
administrations
lot of people,
would. But
Robbie,
there's a lot of schools not even casting votes.
We're not driving all the way down to Chapel Hill and taking a day off from school and getting a substitute teacher to go down there and do a fait accompli, if you will.
And to me, that's another place where the Athletic Association messes up. If a school doesn't vote, then that's counted as a no vote.
Right.
To me, if a school doesn't vote, the vote just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Whatever the number of votes you had, yay or nay, that's how it gets passed.
Yeah,
Not that
yay,
we're going to
nay,
assume
no.
you were going to vote no because you didn't vote.
Well,
what's a
also,
quorum?
you know, you're also, Dennis, you know, if you're paying $1, if you're in, I didn't write their you know, bylaws or agreement or anything, but you at contracts, you would think that the Athletic Association, like every time you don't vote, it's $100 fine or whatever. How about we just kick you out of the association and good luck playing? But either way, I don't care. The fans just want the fairness as far as the charters and the 1As is what they want. And then the 8 is maybe too big, but 6 to me.
I think 6 is a great
You
number.
put the preps in 1As and then put Cherville, move Cherville and Bessemer and East Surrey to 2A and put everybody else in 2As and then 3, 4, 5, 6 to have your major ones. But because when you really do look at it, some of those schools going to 4A with 1,000 students going up against teams with 4,000 to 5,000 kids is not. It's almost the same as you know, Cherville playing Shelby. It's not the same as they say it's the same.
Well, I think the purpose here, Kevin,
fairness is the thing, I guess.
Yeah. Is
I got one idea question for you guys. Go ahead, Dennis.
You want to put that kid on the field to have a good experience, be protected. You know, you don't have the 100-pound classification wrestling the super heavyweights. And you shouldn't do that in classifying these schools that way.
All right, now what if we did this instead? If you did let's go with what they're doing. They're 4. Just leave it at the 4, right? What if then we just did no football conferences, and you made your own schedule, and then they do whatever ranking they want. They use the max prep rankings anyway. But what's the point of having the conference if Shelby and Burns is going to get 5 automatic wins? Because that way is when they go to when they go to put them in the playoffs, so they're going to get 5 wins against other teams with 5 wins might be better than even the teams in the Chase Conference. If you win 5 wins in that conference, it's better than Burns' 5 wins, Shelby's 5 wins next year. So to me, what if you just let the team, instead of forcing them to play the 1As, just say, hey, make your own schedules. I don't care who you play. We're going to use our max preps rankings. You played 9 2A teams. Heck, if they want to, Robbie, they can look at our power poll, and it'd be just as easy to do it that way.
That's true, too.
To figure it out.
I'm not sure easier is the word.
And it's like I think the thing the state's got to realize, they've got to quit treating football like all the other sports.
Yeah.
That's the one. Either all football conferences or no football conferences at all is where I'm kind of leaning on that.
Yeah, because, you know, the argument's always, you know, we start splitting up teams. We've got to look at travel for that Thursday night soccer match or the Tuesday night cross-country meet. You're not having to drive 3-4 hours for that. And I understand that. Well, then again, that's why we need to look at football-only conferences. And if we do that, maybe even, I've heard even talked about, instead of realigning your 4A, 3A, whatever this year, once you get your playoff teams, then you look at the number of kids. And that could change every year. You know, we'll just start, okay, this team made the playoffs. You got this many students. We're going to start ranking you biggest to smallest. And then we're going to take this many teams go here, this many teams here, and that change. Then that way you talk about a fluid situation then, because there have been years where you've seen schools go from 1,500 students down to 1,000, or you've seen a 1,000 school go to 1,600 kids. It's happening. Mm-hmm. And you could do that every year, and it makes it a lot more fluid. And that's why you have to treat football different than the other sports.
All right, North Carolina 3A East Alamance at West Alamance, Havelock at Northwood. Who you guys got coming out of the East in the 3A?
Fellas, I'm going to venture a guess here since we're talking about 4 teams here. I'm going to venture that Havelock will be the team that comes out. We know the history of Havelock. We know the quality of Havelock play. The only bad thing that Havelock's done is when their coach left down there and came up to Freedom, and that didn't last long. He smelled the money and went to Georgia. But Havelock traditionally has the athletes, and that's the problem in the East. They don't necessarily have the quality and the number of athletes that they have. Havelock being in an area where they can draw from the Marine base there, Robbie, they have some disciplined, physically mature young men who can go out there And between Havelock and New Bern, they play some first-class football.
And
after that, there is a huge drop-off.
And again, we start talking about the Cleveland County Tentacles getting out there. Melanie Ray moved out that way to Havelock. I don't know if Tony's still coaching now or not, but
I hadn't talked to him this year, but he has been coaching. Yeah,
so there's another Cleveland County connection. Yeah, I think the Eastern Alamance Western Alamance game is going to be a great game. I think it's a great rivalry game. It's going to. Yeah, I believe Western Alamance, the team that hung Eastern Alamance, lost on them this year.
I mean, we haven't had an East Side West Side battle in a long time, Robbie.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. We've missed that. It's time to go old school.
There's no Big and Tupac in this one. It's West Alamance and East Alamance.
That's exactly right. But I think out of those four teams, I think Havelock is the class out of those four. Shannon.
Yeah,
all right.
I agree with that. I think Havelock will be. Yeah, that's going to be your team out of the East. But I'm gonna tell you, Western Alamance, I think they're going to be a handle for either one. Havelock or Northwood, they can put points on the board. But again, Havelock, y'all both said it. They've got the discipline. They've got the well, I don't know about discipline. I think most of those Marine kids go to Onslow. I think they're because I remember Havelock did a video a couple years ago, rap video against Crest, and they found out real quick they
video. We don't know nothing about no stinking video.
Well, I just got a call from Hendersonville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Steve DeGree is in the house up there for Shelby and Hendersonville. He said that they were glad that he was there because as soon as he checked in, they took him straight to the press box to help pronounce the Shelby lineup roster.
That'll be fun. They don't have any Gillettes this year. Usually Gillettes and name that tears everybody up.
Steve said, I got to go I'm going to the concession stand, and then they told me to get right back up in the press box, and that I'm supposed to stand next to the announcer during the game. So Steve is spotting for the whole stadium in Hendersonville.
He won't be there long.
He got promoted. He got promoted so quick.
Cleveland County connection.
There we go. Woo.
Well, yeah, when Steve starts yelling at the refs and the players, they'll be like, hey, we don't care about their names anymore.
We think we can do it phonetically now. You may go.
You've got us this far. Oh, goodness. But Steve's there, so he's reporting for that. So, all right, over in the 3A, Tanner Halbert will be getting video for us tonight and tweeting. Kings Mountain Monroe comes into Kings Mountain, and Catholic at AC Reynolds. Like I said, last year, Kings Mountain had to go to AC Reynolds and win, and then go to Catholic. This year, Catholic now has to go to Reynolds and win, and then they would go to Kings Mountain if Kings Mountain can hold off the Red Hawks from Monroe. Do the Rockets have anything for the Cougars from Charlotte?
Let me put it this way. Go ahead and schedule next week's game. It'll be Catholic at Kings Mountain.
And I know it's going to sound crazy because Reynolds has a great program.
Yeah.
I think Catholic wins this on 21 points. Reynolds has struggled this year offensively, and if you're going to struggle offensively against a team in Catholic that has a really good defense anyway, I think it's going to make for a long night. Reynolds is having to start, I believe it's a sophomore quarterback, so you're going to see this disciplined Catholic team. Neal running the football for Catholic. I was so impressed with this kid. He was. You talk about tough as a pine knot. I mean, this kid can get it and go. He's fast. He's strong. And he
Elijah Hood Jr.
Yeah,
huh?
and he doesn't mind the contact. This kid does not mind the contact at all. So it would not. So I really think Catholic goes up there, and I think it may be like the Crest Catholic game where it's close early, but I think Catholic, when you get into the second half and they make those adjustments like they did against Crest, I think you see them pull away against this Reynolds team.
Well, we've said the problem with Catholic in the past, Robbie. I remember being on top of the scoreboard down there years ago when Crest was playing. Crest got up 2 touchdowns, and Scott Neisler turned to me and he said, "What do you think?" It was about 5 minutes to go, and I said, "Tick tock, tick tock." They are not built at that time under Coach Otto to score a lot of points quickly. Now, they were able to do that last week, so they showed me a different Catholic offense ability last week. That's why I think Catholic will get up on them early. Had pre-game shows, Shannon and I talked about the fact if Catholic gets behind 2 scores early, they won't be able to catch up. Well, they were able to do that. Now, the following week, Robbie, you remember some years ago when Monroe, the Red Hawks, came to Crest, and there was a problem, the drainage thing over on the sideline. The coach said, "We're not playing until y'all fix the drainage ditch over here." and he talked some smack, and he was a bad mama jamma. And then he got out on the field and he got his mama jam.
Yeah, Chris kind of walked the dog on him after that one.
So if they talk some smack in Kings Mountain tonight, I think Greg Lloyd will take care of business.
Yeah, I agree with for the Catholic Reynolds game. Having seen Reynolds early in the year or early in the previous few years, when you look at them, you're thinking, okay, they're not really great, but then they end up getting in the playoffs. You're like, well, how'd they get there?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because just watching them play Shelby. But I agree with y'all tonight. I think Catholic goes up there and wins. But now, Dennis, you just hit my point on the head about Monroe. Normally, everybody's heard of everybody, when people start paying attention to Monroe, really paying attention, was when they played East Lincoln down at Monroe. Now, this is when Chaz Surratt was the junior. I think he was a quarterback, or junior or sophomore at quarterback, and he got nailed. It was a big hit by the Monroe defense, and everybody's like, oh, Monroe's this big, bad team. And I want to say they beat East Lincoln that night. And again, I think Surratt was either a sophomore or junior. But anyway,
you could just ask the guy who was broadcasting the game.
I didn't want to. I thought you was in the bathroom. But anyway,
I had my feet up enjoying this, and you tried to do that.
Is that not right? He was a sophomore, or junior there.
He was a junior.
He was a junior. So then
he did the Romo spin.
Yeah.
But there was a guy standing there. And the guy that was standing there weighed like 350 pounds. Like, he just caught him at the perfect time. Like, the guy was full speed chasing Chaz, which he had no chance of catching him.
Yeah.
And the guy coming the other way, and Chaz kind of shuffled his feet and spun backwards, and
right into
boom! I mean, he hit him right in the chest. It was a huge hit. It's all over YouTube. It's a big shot.
It's a big hit. But I say that to say this: the next few years, Monroe they came to Shelby, and pregame they were jawing back and forth. They got the midfield like the Florida-Miami rivalry back in maybe the 90s. They were standing at midfield, but I think Shelby was the first team that actually. Now, I didn't know about the crest thing, but I think Shelby was the first team that actually jawed back at them. They talked back, and I think Monroe tries to intimidate you, whether it's their coach, whether it's their players or whatnot. And ever since that, again, I didn't know about the crest thing. Ever since that, at that moment, Monroe has not. I think teams have figured it out. We cannot be intimidated by these kids coming in here. This team coming in here.
Well, Monroe won the championship that year, and then East won it the next year.
Yeah.
Down at Wake Forest, and they played the Pam Pack in that game.
But I think tonight Monroe will not at Kings Mountain. Monroe has not seen. I don't care if they played Weddington Catholic. That's fine, good for them. But I don't think they've seen a team like a defense like the front seven Kings Mountain has, and
or
Kings
an
Mountain will put
front.
on a clinic. Yeah, Kings Mountain
they're,
put on a clinic.
they're not going to do what they've done in the past at Shelby or at Crest. They came out at Crest, like I said, and it was the coach. And he tried to play legal eagle.
He was bringing the officials over to look. I mean, I'd never seen anything like it.
And it was nothing, Robbie.
Something that had been there since the school's been built.
The school's 50 years old. There's a drain between the field and the track. And this is a danger to my kids. I can't play here. This is unsafe. He tried to play Mr. Legal Eagle, know-it-all. Like you said, be tough. Boys, we're better than this. We'll go out and whip them Chargers. And it didn't turn out exactly that way. He will not intimidate Kings Mountain. He will not intimidate that big front line of offense or defense of Kings Mountain. Greg's been around long enough to know we'll just play. We'll line up and play.
Because Kings Mountain, they understand what's coming. And I'm not saying they're going to overlook Monroe, but they understand the possibility. The game they've been wanting now for a year and a half, they want that rematch.
Yeah, at their place,
at home,
and that's the difference.
Here's what worries me. If makes me a little apprehensive if I'm Kings Mountain, and it's not their defense. Their defense is great. I'm still concerned about the injury to Rashard Brooks.
Yeah,
I think that kid is such a difference maker. And he's not going to be able to play tonight.
They got Mims.
Yeah, Mims has played well. Caleb Holland, the sophomore, has come in and has run well. But again, to me, Rashard Brooks is a difference maker kind of player, especially when you're getting deep into the playoffs. For Monroe, you talk about their running back, Jack Crump. He's their running back. The thing with him, guys, he's also their best defensive player.
Yeah.
So can he afford to run against that front of Kings Mountain?
Can he afford to
and
stop
then turn
that front?
around and have to be on the defensive side of the ball against the Kings Mountain offense? There's a lot going to fall on that young man's shoulders tonight, and I don't know if his shoulders are broad enough to handle what's coming from Kings Mountain.
Plus, they got Monroe has a sophomore quarterback coming.
That's
from
right.
Monty Robinson. That's going to be difficult going down in that atmosphere at Kings Mountain.
You're looking at 11 on 22.
Yeah,
that's what it boils down to.
Yeah,
and somewhere around that end of that third quarter, watch Kings Mountain put up some points.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
And I tell you, a kid I do want to give a shout out to, and it's neat because I've seen this young man grow up, and that's Greg Lloyd's son, Jake.
Yeah.
Jake has really started to come into his own on the football field, on the defensive side of things this year, and it's been really exciting to watch him. I know Greg's got to be proud of his son and what he's doing, but again, you look at the rest of that defense, and you talk about Day Wilson, you talk about A.J. Richardson, all those kids, and I've talked to other players from other teams that have played against this Kings Mountain squad this year, and they'll tell you, they said, I thought I was strong, I thought I was working hard in the weight room. He said, next thing I know, some of that defensive front for Kings Mountain's out one hand grabbing me, and I can't do anything with them. This is a special defense. To me, this is the difference this year for Kings Mountain than last year. I think this defense is better. I don't think offensively they're as good as last year. You can't be when you lose a player like Paceauer.
Yeah.
There's no way you're as good as you were last year.
Had Paceauer come back for his spring football season,
it would have been. I think it would have been ridiculous
championship.
what this team would do.
I think they win.
I do too. Anyway. I think they win. I think they can win anyway. I think they can win it off the back of this defense. This is a special defense this year for the Mountaineers.
Who's that? Is it the number 5? Wilson, Javari Rice Wilson.
Yeah, Rice Wilson.
He's I think he's one of the most underrated players in our area.
Absolutely. Yeah, we talk about the other kids they have. He's one that's forgotten.
Yeah, he's good. He's super dynamic, good on that front line.
All right, guys, time for another break. When we come back, we're going to talk 2A football. Shelby and Burns still in the playoffs on KTCBroadcasting.com.
At Cleveland Community College, the spring semester is in full gear. We are the county's premier center for affordable education and workforce training, offering 41 associate degree programs, 43 diploma programs, and 117 certificates. From healthcare, education, business and IT, to electrical line working, commercial truck driving, plumbing, and cosmetology, we have options for your career success. And remember, we're the home of the Yetis. Be sure to check out cccyetis.com for team news and game schedules. Go Yetis!
Hey, we don't care if you sing along.
I love to sing at work. It gets me through my day.
101.5 FM and 1390 AM. WOHS Shelby, the boss.
Hey, this is Terry Gore and the Dr. Randy Davis with the Afternoon Sea Cruise. We're on every Monday from 2 to 6 and now every Tuesday from 1 to 4 on KTCBroadcasting.com and The Boss Radio.
Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price. With names like The Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General, and Travelers. Drop by the office today at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986.
Springtime, Charlotte, and does Rhino Shield do your business? Just ask Mike.
I was watching TV one night and saw the Rhino Shield ad, and I thought, well, if they can do a house, they can probably do a building.
And Rhino Shield's not paint, it's better.
So they came out and they gave me a price, showed me how the Rhino works, how it lasts, and how the guarantee works.
And Charlotte, you too can get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 15% off the regular price.
They waited for us to leave, and they worked Saturday and Sunday so they wouldn't affect our business at all. This was the great part of it. I came back Sunday night, and you couldn't even tell they were here. There was no paint on the ground. They did a fantastic job.
Here's owner Dan Hoey.
This offer is limited, so call us today at 704-597-4141 or visit us online at rhinoshieldcarolina.com. Don't paint.
Don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Don't paint. Don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
There's nothing worse than going to bed and finding bed bugs. What do? You call H&H Termite Pest Control and Waterproofing in Shelby. They'll put your bed bugs to sleep for good. And call H&H to treat your yard for mosquitoes. And just announced, H&H Waterproofing was named the best of the best for the second straight year. H&H Termite Pest Control and Waterproofing, 520 East Dixon Boulevard in Shelby, online at hhpci.com.
Moms, listen up. You could be the winner of a $500 shopping spree in our Mother's Day giveaway. All you have to do is register at one of our participating merchants. The grand prize drawing will be held Friday, May 7th. Register today at Gaston Used Auto Parts on Dogwood Street in Gastonia, at Carpet One Interiors on East Ozark Avenue in Ranlow, at This and That Trading Post on the Dallas High Shoals Road in Dallas, at the Captain's Cap Family Fish House on Linwood Road in Gastonia, at H&M Industries Highway 74 West in Shelby, at Cardinal Quick Stop on North Aspen Street in Lincoln, at Hillbilly's Barbecue and Steaks on West Main Street in Lowell, at Teddy's Emporium Outlet in East Ridge Mall, Gastonia, and at Whiskey Mill Bar and Grill in Bessemer City. See store for in-store details. Be sure to register in our Mother's Day $500 shopping spree from one of our local merchants. Brought to you by The Boss, Carolina Country, Downtown Radio, WhatsUpShopper.com, and KTCBroadcasting.com.
When you're facing a legal problem and questions that you simply cannot answer, when you've run out of hope, wondering if there's a successful solution to your problems, you need a partner, a legal partner, and one who's reliable, dependable, and trustworthy. Calder and Valentine Law has had scores of customers in the region who have all been so happy with the results. Here's an example. I would love to give a huge thanks to this company, Calder and Valentine Law Firm. They were very helpful. They were professional all the time. I would recommend them to anyone that I come in contact with that could use their service. We don't know what your needs are, but we know our commitment. We're committed to you. Call 704-470-2440 or log on to caldervalentine.com. Hope starts with a phone call. Call now.
You work hard every day to provide for yourself and your family. Why not let someone else help out every now and then? As your local Farm Bureau insurance agent, that's why I'm here, for peace of mind, and to help you to protect what matters most to you in Cleveland County. I'm Bert Kostner. Call me at 704-482-2436 for a quick auto, home, or life insurance quote, and to learn more about how Farm Bureau Insurance can save you time and money. Be sure to ask for me, Bert Kostner, 704-482-2436.
Call Bert Kostner, your local Farm Bureau insurance agent, today.
Welcome back to the North Carolina Prep Football Pregame Show, brought to you by Witherspoon Insurance of Shelby. I'm Kevin Hastings in the studios tonight with Robbie Root, Shannon Allen, and Dennis Davis. Time to break down the 2A out east in the 2A East. East Randolph, number 7, is at number 3, Northeastern. Number 4, Wallace Rose Hill is at number 1, Reedsville. In the 2AA, number 3, South Wedge Edgecombe is at number 2, St. Paul's. And number 4, Croatan is at number 1, Washington. Guys, in the 2A East, who's coming out? Reedsville? Or is anybody going to knock them off?
Well, that'd be a pretty good yes, Reedsville, because they're Robbie mentioned earlier when we were talking about, you can look up on the board year after year after year, and you'll see pretty much the same names, same teams. And Reedsville is one of those teams that Shelby probably knows a lot about.
Yeah, they do. I if this was a different, looking at Reedsville and Wallace Rose Hill tonight, Wallace Rose Hill can put some points on the board, but they can't stop a leak. And, I mean, they're giving up almost 250 points in this 8 games. And so, I would love to see Wallace Rose Hill win, but Reedsville playing at home, I don't think they know how to travel. They're at home, seems like every year in the 2A. They always have that home field advantage in the East, and credit to them. I mean, they do what they have to do to get there. But yeah, I don't see anybody beating them in the East.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the number fluctuations. Looking at that Eastern Randolph squad, I believe they were 3AA the year Crest beat them in the state championship.
They
game.
were.
Oh wow!
Now they're
they were
2A.
undefeated too, Robbie.
And I remember there was some great quotes out of the newspaper before. It just seems like a lot when Cleveland County teams go to play for state championships, the other teams like to talk a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Like Havelock, they made a video.
Yeah.
But you talk about those 4 teams with Eastern Randolph, Northeastern, Wallace Rose Hill, Reedsville. that is some great tradition there. And let's put a little more Cleveland County into this thing. Wallace Rose Hill, believe that is the alma mater of my aunt, Mary Beth Roop. She attended Jerry Roop's wife. I believe she attended Wallace Rose Hill, if I'm not mistaken. So let's put some Cleveland County on that one as well. But that Northeastern team is a good team. They're a good squad. I think that will be a good matchup, them in Reidsville, but I don't think they can beat that Reidsville team. This Reidsville team has had a state championship date circled with this squad for a couple years now. This is a good football team.
All right, Shannon, any comments on that?
Well, no, I was looking up Eastern. Where is Eastern Randolph? I mean, what part of the state? Is it near Winston? Is it near Greens or Raleigh? Or where is Eastern
Down
Randolph?
Below Greensboro.
Okay.
If you drop straight down towards the middle of the state there.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, you could have, Eastern Randolph. I don't know nothing about Northeastern. I don't know, but again, traditionally, Eastern Randolph has the teams or have had success in the past. I would love to see them in Reidsville play, but again, Reidsville's not going to, unless barring anything crazy happens. Reidsville's pretty much set in stone to go to the state championship game.
Right. I would say that Northeastern is not a traditional football power, Robbie. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that area of the state.
They're one of those teams that if you live in the eastern part of the state, they're usually pretty good, but they're not the team that comes out of the East and represent the East. They're usually not that team.
They can beat the competition.
Right. Absolutely.
It's like us three having a beauty contest.
I mean, at the end of the day, we all know I win.
Oh,
but
wait a minute.
It's a great competition.
I'll let you win. I won't even be there. I'll let you win.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Let's put a little Cleveland County on that.
I will have to go with the Randolph team there. I think has got probably a better overall team. They used to think they were real hot, and then, like I said, they dropped from 3A to 2A after playing a
You said
unbeaten.
they were 3AA?
Yeah, I believe they were 3AA.
They played an unbeaten schedule, but it's all who you compare it to. And their competition was not the caliber of the competition that schools around here play.
And I think that's when we slide in and start talking about the 2A Western thing with Shelby and Hendersonville, I think we're going to have that same conversation.
Well, speaking of that, let's go up to Mountain Pleasant and Mountain Heritage. Now, Mount Pleasant took care of, I believe, West Lincoln last week, and Mountain Heritage is a little further up the hill. So Mountain Pleasant's got to travel tonight to Mountain Heritage. What's your thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Well, Robbie, we were talking about this a while ago. You're talking about, who was it, Dudley going to T.C. Roberson.
Mm-hmm.
Mountain Pleasant, just north of Monroe. Now they're having to go all the way up to was it Burnsville? Is that where Mountain Heritage is? So, and it's going to be cold up there. And so I think that plays into effect. Those kids, they're used to it. But here in the past 3 or 4 years, Mountain Heritage has really been in the hunt when it comes to, especially deep in the playoffs. So they know how to get there. They know what it takes to get there. They're going to be big. They're going to be physical. I think these two teams, I don't want to say they mirror each other, but I think Mountain Heritage will be the more physical team. And I think they're going to roll. I wasn't too impressed with Mount Pleasant to begin with, but I thought West Lincoln should have beat them last week. But
right.
That's just me. But I like Mountain Heritage in this game. Is it Coach Johns for Mount Pleasant? Is that the Johns fella down there? He does a good job, but with what he has. But I like Mountain Heritage to win this one easily.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mount Pleasant getting into this round. So I think going to Mountain Heritage is going to be a really difficult task.
Well, let's move up that chart there and look at the two eastern schools, Croatan and Washington, or Little Washington, as they like to refer to it in the eastern part of the state.
Yeah.
Guys, this is one of those games. What do you know, if anything?
Well, I know Washington. I remember seeing them in the state championship game probably maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They're very athletic. They're extremely athletic, and I think with them being the number 1 seed, they're getting home field advantage. I think that's, I think they'll have no Croatan. I don't think it's going to be able to compete with them. And even, is it St. Paul's? Is that who that is? I can't, St. Paul's, Southwest Edgecombe. Southwest Edgecombe, I like them in that matchup.
I do too.
And I think them and Washington will play next week, but I like Washington coming out of that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you've already alluded to the other side of that board over there, Southwest Edgecombe and St. Paul's, and you like Southwest Edgecombe in that one?
Yeah, I do.
Robbie, how about you?
Yeah, I agree. I'm with Shannon on both those games. Absolutely.
Well, let's go up to Oak Grove and North Davidson, and then we'll get to two games that are more local interest to us. What's your take on Oak Grove and North Davidson?
Well, they're out of the same conference and the reason I know that because Shelby played Walkertown last week. They're at that, and Walkertown was, the third team out of that conference. I think it's a 10-team conference. Not Walkertown, Oak Grove. I can't remember if they won because I couldn't pull it up here if they won the conference or not. But these two teams know each other, and North Davidson is. I don't know. I like Oak Grove for whatever reason. I like them playing against North Davidson. That's really all I've got. So
I think the North Davidson is a program that's played for state championships. I felt like they felt like coming in this year they had the squad they could compete again for a state championship. So 7-1 playing at home. I think North Davidson wins this game.
Well, they are higher ranked, Robbie. I think based on that alone, I would probably go with the North Davidson there, Shannon. Let's move to a couple of games that I think may have a little bit of local interest. And I'm going to start, Shannon, with the number 4 seed Shelby against the number 1 seed Hendersonville. How they got those rankings might be a little interesting. Shelby finished with 2 losses for the year.
Yeah.
And Hendersonville, I'm not sure if they lost 2 games.
They had 2 losses.
But it was a drawing, and I don't like drawings. But Hendersonville got the higher ranked number 1 seed, so Shelby has to go up the mountain tonight to play in Hendersonville. Shannon, you give us your take on the Shelby team.
Well, let me go back. I had it all wrong. North Davidson, Oak Grove, and Salisbury are in the same conference.
Salisbury's
I
in
had
that
Walkertown. Anyway, yes, I messed that all up. Anyway, tonight, Shelby going up to Hendersonville. We were talking about this before we went on the air. Hendersonville's quarterback, I think he's hurt.
Yeah, that's the talk.
Yeah, he's going to be out. Hendersonville, they have a good running game, but they don't. If he's out, they're going to have to find somebody to complement that running game, and they just don't have it. Especially when you have a Shelby team that's finally. It looks like maybe they figured something out, defensive wise, coming into this game. Shelby's got a couple injuries with a Santana Hoffer on the front defensive line, and then the running back Omar Phillips. Again, don't know the status of those two. I don't think it was as bad. I think Santana's was it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. But anyway, so Shelby, even though if they're out, I think Shelby's got the horses to go up to Hendersonville tonight and probably blow them out. If they play the way they did last week, Shelby's going to be hard to beat from here on out.
Here's the thing that would concern me if I'm a Bearcat fan from Hendersonville. I look at that Mountain Heritage game. I gave it 40 to Mountain Heritage. I look at Franklin. I gave up 31 to them in a loss. Wow. If you're giving out that many points to those, and I'll take anything away from those things, Franklin, both are good teams.
Yeah,
they're not at the Shelby level. Here's what I think happened. What I want to see tonight, and I think it may be right or wrong, and this is just me looking at and listening to people talk. I think Gabe Hewitt has caught a lot of flack this year.
He has, yeah.
And I don't think that's been justified because you come into the season, it was a crazy start. You didn't get the preseason you'd normally have trying to get familiar with your guys. The kid's still thrown over 1,500 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I think tonight is the night Gabe Hewitt has a coming out party for the Shelby Golden Lions. I think he has a big night, and with him having a big night, Tyler Arrington's going to have a big night. I think you're going to see Shelby throw the ball around, and I'm like Shannon. I think the changes they made last week defensively is something that's going to stick throughout the rest of these playoffs. I think Shelby gives Hendersonville fits tonight, and Shelby goes on and plays for another West championship next week.
Yeah, and just piggybacking off that, you look at, and I know people were talking about Gabe. He's not having a good year and all this, but you look at, and I don't think it was Gabe's fault.
That's right.
I'm looking at, your defense gave up some points here. You're gonna have to, it's going to have to be everybody. But look at the quarterback Shelby's had in the past. Last year, Isaiah Best had Jahari Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
He had Diavante Daly. These kids could could stretch the field like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those kids could fly. Shelby don't have that big threat this year. They do, but he's a younger kid. They don't have that senior leadership that can say, hey, throw it. Yeah, they've got Arrington.
But I'm like you. Arrington's more of that possession guy.
He's a possession guy.
Yeah.
He's not a guy that says, okay, I'm going to throw it deep, go get it.
Yeah.
And they don't have that. Darquez Lee, when he was quarterback before Isaiah Best, had Jaden Borders.
Absolutely.
That makes a huge difference. And especially when Fuller went down from Crest, Ruff was no longer the big threat.
No.
Going out for receiving. That makes a difference when you have a kid that you can just say, go run to the goal line, I'm going to throw you the ball, and he normally catches it.
Absolutely.
It was like having a flat tire on your vehicle.
Yeah.
You still got 3, but it don't roll nearly as good.
Right.
And Shelby, their defense is what I say, back to the future. They've gone back to the defensive positions that have gotten them there in the past. And as for Hewitt, he was at Nations Ford his sophomore and junior year, and he's come back to Shelby where his dad played. But, Robbie, you may not recall he was at one time a Crest quarterback. And Shelby seems to do pretty good with ex-Crest quarterbacks over the years.
They seem to do well.
The heart of Shelby is ex-Crest quarterback.
Hughes now was a Crest guy. He went to Shelby guy.
Yeah. He was actually a Crest guy. But you're exactly. It's funny, a lot of they like to give each other grief back and forth about. Yeah. These kids were at Crest, come to Shelby and won. This year's a prime example. Ruff and Borders, both at Crest, playing well. We're Shelby kids. I mean, it's all over the board around the county. But
I just remember when Goulet, and I'm trying to think who the quarterback was, but you had one ex-Crest quarterback throwing to another ex-Crest quarterback for a state championship.
Guys, here's my thing. When I look at the Mountain 6 2A, which is where Hendersonville comes out of, and I compare that to the Southwestern 2A this year, when I'm looking at South Point Chase and RS Central not even making the playoffs, and I dare say I put either one of those 3 teams in the Mountain 6 this year, they win that conference.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm a firm believer. When I look at your schedule, I look at your competition. I thought that last week with Burns and High Brighton. I knew High Brighton was a great football team. Burns was not surprised by anything High Brighton had seen because what Burns had seen all year.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing here. Shelby's not going to be shocked by anything Hendersonville puts on the field tonight. I think Shelby wins it going away.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Burns, the game that you and Nelson Royster and Tom Sinafani have been waiting for all week is taking place tonight, and it's a home game over at Ron Green Stadium, and it's the Burns Bulldog against the Salisbury Stakes. I mean, whatever their mascot is. But Burns
Hornets
is the 6th place team. Salisbury's the 7th place team. Slobber knocker, fellas, or does Burns blow them out? What's your take on this game?
Well, which Burns team is going to show up? Is it going to be the Burns team that played against Crest, or is it going to be the Burns team that just pretty much scored at will and went wild at RS Central and put 70 on the board? That's going to be that's going to be the key. Burns is done. I mean, Burns. Nobody gave him really a chance. I think outside of Cleveland County last week to go up to High Brighton and win, and they did. Now they didn't win going away. I mean, big fashion, but they won. Cameron Sweezy is the main guy for Burns. As he goes, Burns is going to go. He's the leader of that team. He and Dorian Starnes on the defensive side. I think those 2 players. I think they'll keep Burns grounded a little bit. Now Burns, the thing about this, playing Salisbury tonight, you're going to be playing a team that has athletes from top to bottom. They've got a kid that's going to Georgia. Is it Georgia? The linebacker's going to Georgia.
Yeah. Jalen Walker.
Jalen Walker. He's going to Georgia. So they're going to have to play a physical game. The key to this game is going to be, to me, and I'll let Robbie speak more on it. The key to this game for me is going to be Burns' offensive line. They're young. They really don't have that much. They've got 8 games experience against that senior-led, probably defensive line from Salisbury. Can those guys step up and make it happen for the Burns Bulldogs?
One thing I think when a lot of people talk about this Burns team, and Shannon, you mentioned it, and a lot of people say it, they say, if it's the Burns team that showed up against Crest, they're in trouble. To me, I think that kind of discounts what Crest did in that game because you look at that Crest defense, they've held Kings Mountain the lowest point total they've had this year.
Yeah.
You look at even the Catholic game last week, it wasn't so much where the defense gave up a bunch of yards. A lot of starting field position was really good for Catholic. So I think Crest forced Burns into some doing the things they weren't comfortable with. When I started looking at the players for this game, and if you're a Burns fan out there and you're tuned in, man, get excited what I'm fixing to tell you. When I look at Lamont Wilson, the running back, great running back, 518 yards this year, folks, he's a sophomore. Let me talk to you about running back Jeremiah Norris, 566 yards rushing this year. Folks, he's a freshman. Let me talk to you about Ryan Thompson, 498 receiving yards this year. He's a sophomore. Let me talk to you about L.J. Allen, 232 yards receiving yards this year. He's a sophomore. Let me look on the defensive side of the ball. About Kahari Haynes, he's a sophomore. Let's look at Brown on the defense side. He's a junior. Let's look at Silas Tate on the defense side of things. He's a junior. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, Salisbury, you better get Burns this year. Because to me, when I look at this Burns squad, when I start looking at next year, the year after, and I'm talking about teams that can play for state titles, for teams that's going to have the talent to do what they want to do, Coach Divine and the Bulldogs are coming to play ball.
Oh yeah, they're loaded.
And
Absolutely.
so this is a great experience for these young kids. And again, going back to conference play, it's not going to be a game that's too big for these kids. Because they've played in the Burns Shelby
Kings
game.
Mountain game.
They played Crest. They had a 1-point game against South Point. It was an incredible ball game. You look at the close battles they've had
at South Point.
I mean, so this is a Burns team. Even though they're young, they're experienced. Salisbury, again, you talk about competition. I do like their competition coming out of the Central Carolina 2A. Their two games that we talked about they lost was a 20-13 game against Oak Grove, 21-14 North Davidson. We just said those two teams are playing each other in the playoffs tonight. So Salisbury has seen great teams. They're going to have great athletes, only giving up 9 points a game out of a pretty good conference. Yeah. So their defense is good. We talked about the Georgia signee. They also have Zai Clay. He's been named the East-West All-Star on the defensive side of the ball. And they got their running back, Jamaica Wells. He's rushed for 1,095 yards on the season. The thing I like about this young man, again, we talk about young players, he's a sophomore, 225-pound running back. That reminds me of a kid like Trey Harbison.
Yeah.
If I can give the ball to. So he's going to be their bread and butter offensively. Quarterback is Honeycutt, 643 yards rushing this year, 764 passing. So they're not going to put it in the air a lot. They're going to do it what they need to do. He can run the football, and he's got a great back that can run the ball.
Well, Shannon, I've got a question. What's the condition physically of Burns, injury-wise?
Well, he mentioned Silas Tate a while ago. I talked with Silas this week it was at a FCA lunch that one of their teachers, Chad Beam, had, and Silas has had some knee problems. He heard it last week, and so I think he's going to play, obviously. But again, everybody up there is tight-lipped about everything, about people being hurt. I think Burns is in great shape. I think, we've heard Sweezy's had a broke finger for the last 8 weeks, and I think he's done a fantastic job.
I think we all need to break a finger if we can play like that.
I know, but I think they're okay. And you look at Salisbury coming in, I think it's going to be a physical game, and it's going to be athletes everywhere. But I like what you said a while ago. Burns is young. Next year, the 2A is going to come through Cleveland County, whether it be Burns or Shelby, either one, next 2 years. But the thing about Salisbury, you look at their game last week, they went to Maiden. Now, granted, I know Maiden threw 5 interceptions, and on the first 3 drives, it was short field for Salisbury the whole way. But Wells, you mentioned him, he had over 200 yards rushing. Mm-hmm. Their quarterback also had over 200 yards rushing. So they have athletes. If Burns can contain them, which is going to be hard to do, but I think Burns is a lot more athletic and more and better fit to stop Salisbury than maybe Maiden was. But now, can they overcome? Again, I still go to that line. I still think the line play is going to be huge in this game.
I want to give a shout out to my good friend Trey Albright. I get a chance to do it tonight because I talked to him. Trey Albright, I'm going to say bulla bulla to you right now. But he just sent me a message. Appreciate this information. The quarterback for Salisbury has actually committed to North Carolina for baseball.
Oh, wow.
So, again, we're talking about great athletes.
Yeah.
If you're going to a game tonight or you're debating about whether to go to a game tonight, that's the one to go to.
Well, when these great athletes choose these North Carolina schools, I start to wonder about them. The all-time leading scorer in North Carolina basketball history is playing wide receiver for Wake Forest,
who might get drafted by the Panthers.
And the national player of the year, all-American quarterback, was moved to linebacker. So I don't know what they're doing down there in that state when they decide that. But anyway, more on that later. How about
I said they're about to be millionaires.
That's true too.
Yeah.
I was talking about the schools and their decisions, not those two, not the individuals. I was talking about how they get the move around. All right, so tonight we got Burns and Salisbury, guys. So the Hornets and Bulldogs are on WHS 1390 AM 101.5 FM, and listen on KTCBroadcasting.com. You can also listen on the Red Zone Radio YouTube stream. we'll run that and update folks with scores during the night with Tom and Brent. We're about to send it out to them. Guys, final thoughts before we send it out to the gang.
I think the game of the night, obviously, we mentioned that game in Charlotte, but this Burns-Salisbury game, that will be a fun game. That would be a fun game to go to and watch, and that's probably going to be a better game to me as far as the games on the board that we know about, because some of these teams we don't know, but I like Burns-Salisbury matchup. I got Burns I'm going to take them by a touchdown at home.
Robbie?
Yeah, I like Burns in that game. I think it's going to be a great game. 7-10-point win for the Bulldogs. The thing that I'm excited about, and I think it is so cool, we've seen double championships out of Cleveland County.
Yeah.
For me, this is the first year we've got a legit shot at 3. And somebody said, what's in the water in the Broad River? What's in the water at Buffalo Creek? I don't know what it is. I hope it never goes away. I hope it stays in the water. And I don't want to take in that, but I think about Gaston County and not think away anyone from our brethren over in Gaston County. Did anybody from Gaston County make the playoffs this year?
No, they didn't.
So you got a county that size.
11 teams.
They could not get one in. And we're sitting here talking now about a legit shot for little old Cleveland County, 4 high schools, 3 of them with a chance to win a state title.
So does that make
how many state titles?
How
many state titles Cleveland County winning with 10 teams in the county?
A bunch.
None.
A bunch. They were winning 4 state championships.
Well,
you got 2 of them already.
What you need to do is close down all the public schools. Make it one giant charter like McDowell County, and then dare everybody to beat you.
God.
All right, well, we've got to go, guys. It's been a fun night on the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show of Shelby,
and we'll be back next week.
Yeah,
should be, unless they go over 3 tonight. We will be back
according
next
to
week.
Robbie and Shannon here, we'll be back next week.
Be here.
All right,
be here next
all
week.
right. Well, thanks, guys, for Rob Root for joining us tonight. Shannon White was in the house again. Dennis Davis. Shannon Allen. Thank you, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we're going to send it out to Burns in just a few moments on KTCBroadcasting.com.
Today, but we have some rain that's going to impact us over the weekend. Tonight we'll have an increase in the cloud cover and it will not be as cold. Temperatures tonight down into the lower 40s. Rain will be with us on and off throughout the entire day on Saturday. High temperatures will stay in the upper 50s Saturday. A good day to spend some time outside will be Sunday. We'll have plenty of sunshine with highs near 70. I'm meteorologist Amy Wilmoth in the Weather Center.
Currently from the KTC Broadcasting Studios, it's 6:58 and the temperature is 62 degrees.
Since 1977, Shelby Heating and Air has been serving this area with the finest in Carrier heating and air conditioning products. Turn to the experts. Turn to Carrier and Shelby Heating and Air. Plus, they service all brands and are accredited A+. Visit their website at shelbyheating.com. Just call 704-487-7877 for Shelby Heating and Air, voted best heating and air conditioning in Cleveland County and a member of the Better Business Bureau.
Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price. With names like The Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General, and Travelers. Drop by the office today at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986.